Hello everybody, hope you're all doing great. Hope you all had a great week. So like I said, I would release two videos back to back since the first one went on a little bit too long. So go check out the GU trade that we took this week if you haven't seen that. And now we're also going to go over an EU trade that we took, and it was actually very similar now that we're looking at price. So what's interesting is, again, this one's actually less counter trend. It is still with the trend. We were expecting buys from down here and we caught some stuff up along the way, but that's not what's important to us. That's not what we're looking at right now. What we're actually looking at is how we got involved in the sells in this area. So again, just looking at this from a 4 hour, it looks like there's very little to get involved in here, right? But in reality, we caught about 1 to 18 relatively easily. People that got involved a little bit early got 1 to 9 on it, and then a little bit more based on how anybody took the trade. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit about that. And ultimately, all it was based on was the fact that we were mostly bearish. However, we were bullish counter trend from this area here. We're breaking higher. However, to go lower, we're expecting lower price action from this order block here. So here's your last buy move before the sell move, right? We're looking inside there for potential sells. Again, you could be a seller there on its own, right? Or you can wait, and that's what we do because that's what we specialize in doing at mentfx. We like to refine our things. So as you'll all see, we had that area highlighted here from which we were looking for potential sells at. This was sent out beforehand. We had price move in. We were looking at the mentfx blocks. We're not going to talk about this too much. Again, for those of you that figured it out, fantastic. For those of you that don't, join the mentorship, do it with us. It's all good. It's going to be great. We had price moving up, and we were looking for sells all the way after price came to around these areas here. Okay, so those counters are important areas. As price continued to play higher, we had the double mentfx blocks that we were looking at, and we had distributions that we were looking for at these areas here. So that's off a 30-second chart already, and what you'll see is we had this sell sent out right here, right there, as you can see, and then that actually hit stop loss. So actually, I just want to show this to show a lot of you that smart money does not come with the guarantee that you're going to make money. Not that you're gonna, not with that guarantee. I mean, it doesn't come with the guarantee that you're gonna hit or your strike rate's gonna be high as shit every single time and you're not gonna have any losses. Losses are part of the game. You basically are just paying the comps demand for some signals, like that's the best way to think about it. Sometimes you got to pay a little bit of money to understand where the market's going, and that's ultimately what we did here. So we were looking for sells, and sadly that sell didn't work out well. We kind of entered prematurely, but it's okay. We took a -1 on that. And then we began to look at the sells from this area here. So again, for those that didn't want to go insane like we do, this is a 15-second chart. However, this sell was a fine sell to take. At this point, I was still not involved though. I was actually looking inside of this area for more sells. And what happened is, at that point, we had price distribute, as you can see. And from there, we looked to get involved on this place here. As you can see, that was sent out as price was here. Here's the date, here's the time here. You can see this was sent out at this time. Looking for sells at this area right here. And then from there on out, again, we went over how we basically managed this trade all the way through. We're not gonna go over those things right now because that's mentorship specific. Right, and here you go. Price never came back to break even and started to fall off extremely heavily, and it came. Oh, those are re-entries on sells. Yeah, so ultimately it just kept dropping lower, and I began to partial out every single time. My account was up 1%. I partialed 0.5% out of it as per my FTMO account. That's basically, I have different ways of managing risk. Everyone will have different ways of managing risk, but that's how we managed it. Either way, let's go over what actually surpassed here. And we're going to go over a little bit less here because this is going to be reserved for the mentorship, how we did it in depth. But ultimately, you saw a lot of it already in the Discord just now. So let's get into it a little bit quick because I said this was going to be a two-parter video as with the last one. So you guys got a 2-video Friday special. So you're welcome. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content so far and are learning a lot from it. So we had that 4-hour area. Ignore all this stuff. So we had that 4-hour area right here. That's the image you saw. And as price came into that area, as you'll see right here. So let's zoom out. Right, we were expecting buys from down here. We were able to catch stuff along the way. We're not going to look at all that right now. This is the stuff that you just saw. So let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. We don't really need it. Right, and there's that original sell that I sent that I said you could take if you didn't want to go crazy, right? The 6.5 pip stop loss, very, very standard, actually more than what I usually like. However, we were still looking inside this area, this last buy candle before the sell candle within the mentfx block, which again, we talk about in the mentorship if you want to be a part of that. For any of you that don't know, here's the website. Here's how you get a part of that. Here's what you have access to. Fantastic. And you have access to all this other stuff here with course content and all that good stuff. Not really important. Just going to throw that out there so a lot of you know, because a lot of you have been messaging me about Telegram. Either way, what goes on here. So we were on the 15-second chart because I was expecting sells from those areas. So let me zoom out here. It's going to look a little bit crappy until I zoom back in. So forgive me on that part. Let's zoom in here. Again, this is after the fact, so we're not going to go through this back plate. I'm just going to show you guys what actually occurred here. We had price finally start coming up. We had the preliminary supply formed right before the POI, or our actual refined entry, was going to be hit. We saw our buying climax, the automatic rally. We began to see secondary tests creating equal highs. So if any of you have not seen the video prior, the one on GU, please watch it, because this is ultimately the almost exact same setup, but at a different time and in a different place. However, it looks very similar because we have a specific way that we enter, and that way will remain ultimately, right? Until it doesn't work, which there's no reason it won't, because of the way that we won't get into that too as well. There's no point right now. So with this buying climax, this automatic rally, secondary test, which begins to create equal highs, right? What is that? Liquidity being formed. People are getting into the market prematurely, looking for sells. Again, most people were correct in the sense that it was going to sell off, right? But that's ultimately what happened. So a lot of you that have traded in the past, a lot of you might have been right about your directional bias. However, gone stopped out just before it actually continued. That's why this is how that happens, right? We build liquidity. You start to believe one thing. You start watching it. In the moment, you're thinking you finally caught that top, and then you get taken out and liquidated. Then we had that UT that liquidated these highs. Again, more people are getting into here. Then that UTAD that liquidated all of that. And then we had the breakdown, the test, and the breakdown. And at this point, as we broke down below structural lows, and left this last buy candle before the down move, we were looking to be involved on it, right? So what we're actually looking at is this last up candle before the real down move. And what we did is we took 50% of that. So what happened is I sent this out when it was like this, right? However, because I enter a lot of these manually, I entered this right here at 0.5% risk, as I normally do, expecting for price to stay below this area. And again, for those that don't understand how we're able to take 1.1 pip stop losses, first of all, it's an FTMO account, so the leverage on that is very high. You have a $100,000 account, which is ultimately 1 to 100 leverage, which is basically $10 million of buying power. So you can trade very high lots, especially if you understand what you're doing. So it's not considered over leveraging if you understand how you're taking yourself out of the market and you're risking properly. Because like I said in the previous one, this 1.1 pip stop loss on a 15-second time frame, right, with a potential take profit, let's say of 30 pips, is the equivalent of trading a 4-hour time frame and risking 100 pips to make potentially 300 pips, right? Or like a daily chart where basically you do the same thing. So it's the equivalent, it's just on a lower time frame, and it happens more often, it happens quicker. And if you understand what you're looking for and you understand order flow from a higher time frame, the exact same thing will replicate itself on the lower time frames, right? And again, it's going to take time before your eyes get there and you start to be okay with doing stuff like that. But that's how I basically trade, and that's how I like to trade. Again, it doesn't matter. You can trade a variety of different ways, but this is the way I enjoy to do it. And again, the point of all these breakdowns is that you're going to see this occur on any time frame you want to look at. I like to do it on lower. That's it. So we have this LPSY where we get involved. We get into sells here. People that missed this actually ended up taking this last buy before the sell. So people got back in right here, and some people actually, I believe, took the 50%. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna quote that. The 50% did get hit perfectly, so that was really nice. However, most people got involved just at the open right here when it came back up after breaking through all these lows. So we know that this is a sign of weakness, looking for price to continue lower. Now, what happened is, again, as per risk management, we're going to have more videos on this. I'm going to tell you guys the full honesty. I believe I took my first partial right under this low right here at 1 to 8. So I secured like 4% on that very quickly. Then I took my next partial at some order block here. Yeah, so this order block right here. I took my next partial right there at a 1 to 16. So I secured another 8% because that's half, or no, even less than that. So 4% again, secured 4% off of that. So I'm just subtracting the RRs that we've gotten so far. And then from there on out, I believe I held until this low got taken out right here. So we held until this low right here got taken out, just under these lows, or like the equivalent of it. And that was 1 to 27. We took off another half there. So that locked in an extra, I believe, 3.5% or another 4%, because I took off 4% every single time we reached 4% ultimately. And from there on out, we just let it run, and I think it took off from there. Yeah, so if we go back to the 1 minute, we can take a look at this. yeah, so there you go. After we completed that run for that liquidity, we did take back off, and now we're just kind of respecting the areas around here. Not really interested in being part of this. It's Asia right now. Again, if I saw something good, I would have gotten involved. However, I don't see anything good right now, so we don't really care. Again, all of that's here. The breakdown of it and the way we partialed along the way. As you can see, we sent the partials all the way through, and how you would properly manage your trade. So again, this is all perspective, so don't sue me, all that fun stuff. And that's ultimately how we got involved in this trade. So again, it's not an entire insane breakdown, but this was the two-parter to the previous video, and I wanted a lot of you to understand how in 1 week we were able to catch back-to-back setups whenever we chose to pretty much catch them off of areas that we were expecting prices to come to. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys understand how we're using Wyckoff to get involved in certain areas, how we're using POIs, how we're using supply and demand areas, as well as order blocks, and the ideas of inefficiency getting filled and price moving ultimately from inefficiency to inefficiency, and how we partner that idea with lower time frames and higher time frames. Doesn't really matter ultimately, because price moves the same way across all time frames. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, leave a dislike if you didn't, just let me know why, and have a great week, have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.